Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It's the Fandom Frequency Network. Everything in the multiverse of fandom. We talk about it around these parts: comic books, anime, TV shows, albums, you name it, we talk about it. Make sure you smash that little subscribe button over there right below the video. Come on now. Hit that thing. Hit the download button if you're listening on the podcast feed, and click the follow while you're at it, guys. That helps the show out immensely. But with no further ado, let's get into the main topic of the show: Stranger Things 2, Season 2, whatever you want to call it, dropped back in 2017, I believe, something like that. And this one is a little bit more controversial than a lot of the other seasons, y'all, because as a lot of the fellow Stranger Things fans out there know, this one had a few what would the word be, polarizing aspects to it, you know what I'm saying? We'll get more into that in a bit. But overall, I've always enjoyed season 2 quite a bit. Not as much as season 1, and I do enjoy some of the other seasons that have came afterwards a little more as well. We'll get more into that when we get into those seasons. But when it comes to season 2, Stranger Things 2, I still dig it a lot. It's really good overall. I don't have a lot of complaints with it, really. The only thing with me, in the few complaints I do have with it, that I do want to get those negatives out of the way, because I do love most of the things about this season. But the few things I don't like about it, I'm going to get out of the way right here off top, or up top. And the one thing with 11 being separated from all the other kids and all that whole thing with the storyline with her and Hopper and all that stuff, while I do get why they went down that road, and I do like the way that it started out and the way that it was going, but I do feel like they kind of dragged that out a bit by the end of the season. And when she comes in right there to make that save right at the end of season 2, I do think it's a little bit convenient that she just shows up in the nick of time like that. But overall, I do dig Eleven's arc in the series, and I do love her arc in this season overall. Just that teen rebellion and her wanting to figure out where she comes from and contacting her mother and figuring out more about her past and what's happened to her and what the circumstances are that led to the way that her life has been up until that point. And I love all of that right there. But one of the only other negatives that I have is not one of the things that you might think, and it's not the episode you would think. It's actually the other complaint I have was the Mike storyline, with the way that he was being real bitchy to Max. While at first I do understand and all that, and the jealousy angle that comes in, I do think it was a little played out by the end of the season and didn't really go anywhere too much with those two as characters, and overall throughout the series, they haven't gotten too much closer either. So that's the only real few negatives that I have to really knock against it. And that's pretty much it for my negatives in this season overall. But getting into all the things I dug, man, I loved all the new additions to the show when it comes to Sean Astin's character, Bob, who's dating Joyce Byers. Hello. Winona Ryder up in this thing. And that whole character was so charming, and I just really dug him and his vibe overall, just being that really cool boyfriend that could potentially be a really cool stepdad in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get in good with Jonathan and Will. And I love that whole aspect to it. And like I said before, 11 and Jim Hopper, I love their whole storyline and their whole connection together, as him being her surrogate father now, and him having to kind of hide her and not being able to feel like he can safely reveal her and out into the world. But I love the way that all comes around by the end of the season, and he ends up getting her a deal with Bob Owens, played by Paul Reiser from Alien and all that good stuff. And he ends up getting her a deal where she could take on this new persona of Jane Hopper and gets an actual identification, birth certificate, and all that good jazz by the end of the season. So I thought that was fucking awesome. And I loved Dustin's whole connection with Steve and him being kind of like the babysitter, and how that's become kind of a joke overall throughout the seasons as it's gone on, especially in season 4, part 1. That was a lot of fun. And overall, man, I just really dug Dustin and his whole fun vibe with Steve and everything when they have to go off on their own for a bit and figure out what's going on. And then Lucas ends up joining in with them and everything like that, and how all that proceeds, and then everything leading up into the Hawkins lab. I love that whole sequence with the Demodogs running around like it's fucking aliens and shit, running through the whole facility. It was fucking mayhem, man. And there's just so many great moments throughout the season overall. And one thing that I definitely have to mention in this for show is Noah Schnapp's acting as well when he is possessed by the Mind Flayer in this season. It is top notch stuff. It's some of the best possession stuff I've seen outside of The Conjuring and The Exorcist and Insidious and stuff like that. This is top notch stuff right there, and I think Noah Schnapp does not get enough credit for his work in season 2, especially, and season 1 as well. Don't get me wrong, but in season 2, man, he knocked it out of the fucking park, yo. So I just definitely wanted to give him a shout out there, man. And overall, let's see. What else, man? What else can we mention here from season 2? The whole reveal of the Mind Flayer actually is really dope, and I like the way that that played out. It was actually a pretty menacing, like, antagonist to have and, like, villain to have in the series, because you're just like, holy shit, what is this giant thing? And it looks like a big-ass spider, and for those that know me, no, I'm not a big fan of spiders, so obviously that's always going to kind of creep me out a little bit. And I just love the way that that was integrated into the series and into the lore of the Upside Down and everything like that. And getting to explore that connection to the Upside Down that Will had further was just very organic and just went along very nicely with season 1 as well. And yeah, man. Let's see, what else can we mention here? And the whole reveal of 8, Kali's character. I thought she was really awesome, and I thought she did add a lot to the overall lore of the Hawkins lab and her connection to Jane and the advice that that Jane, aka 11, learned from her over the process of them hanging out for a while she went on her own to do her own thing for a while. And that whole storyline, or part of the storyline right there, I thought was very interesting and very compelling. And with Kali on this warpath to get all the guys associated with the experiments at the Hawkins laboratory, I thought was just so damn interesting. And she's just on a path of vengeance. But 11 was like, yo, man, I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't me. And they almost end up getting caught by the cops and all that, and they have to get away. I just love that whole detour of the show. It was nice to go to a whole nother location. I think that was Chicago, to go to somewhere different than Hawkins, to do something that does tie into the overall narrative, but doesn't necessarily tie into the main problem of the series right now, but is leveling up Eleven's powers and is developing her character. So all in all, it's all worth it, and I think it really ties into the series nicely. And on a rewatch, I definitely appreciate it even more. So I know a lot of people really don't dig that part of the series overall. I guess I'm probably on a hot take on this one, but for me, I dig it overall and like that development of seeing these different characters from the lab. And moving on from there, I would gotta say that the Duffer Brothers are just so good at leveling up the tension and the gore and just the production value on every season as this series goes along. And that is definitely the case and started right here with season 2, where the budget didn't jump up as much as it has with seasons 3 and 4. You definitely could tell that they got a little more money to play with, but they definitely use it in the right places. They don't over CGI it when they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? They still use those practical effects when they can, and they are very effective when they do. And just the overall effects in general, as I've mentioned before, the CGI stuff actually looks really good as well. So overall, other than maybe the Mothergate that looked a little wonky at times, it all looked really, really good. So I got to give them props on the visual effects and everything like that. And I like the darker, kind of more grim cinematography with season 2, and it taking place around Halloween is always a fun thing for me. Everyone that knows me knows that's like my favorite holiday next to Christmas. You know what I'm saying? So that's always fun for me. And when they dress up as Ghostbusters at the school and then no one else does, and they're like, shit, man, I thought everyone else was going to dress up. They're like, they dressed up last year, because I think they're in 7th grade now, so everyone's like, oh, I'm too old to dress up. So they didn't get the memo. But I just love how everyone got their homemade costumes or store-bought costumes, and they just got their Ghostbusters on. and he ended up having two what was it, two Venkmans, which was hilarious. So I just love that whole little bit right there, and the whole tie-in to it being 84, not 94. Stupid me. That's the year I was born. What am I thinking about? But yeah, man, I just dug that overall as well. And like I said, man, just the whole element of Will and what he's going through this season is just so tragic, and you really feel for him, man. And like I said, Noah Schnapp's acting just really brings it on home and really makes it palpable and makes it believable. So you just really got to give that kid credit, man. And the whole cast, honestly, delivers in season 2 just as much as they did in season 1 and any other and the rest of the show. They're awesome. No one drops the ball in the acting department whatsoever, whether it's new characters, old characters. Everyone really comes to play. And when it comes to new characters, when it comes to Max and Billy, I love their introductions in this season as well. And they are up there as some of my favorite characters in the series overall. And I really dug their introduction here, and the whole, like, I hate you and I hate you kind of vibe between them as siblings is something that I've seen before and is very relatable. And the whole circumstance behind it with their parents and the whole thing that goes on with that is just it's kind of sad too when you learn more about Billy as the time goes on. But in this introduction to season 2, they just establish how much of a douchebag he is at this point, how much of a bully he is. Even to Steve Harrington, who he even jokes is supposed to be the king of on campus and all that stuff, and that doesn't work out for him. And then that all tying into, Steve and Nancy having relationship issues, and her and Jonathan end up having their kind of thing starting sparks off here in season 2, and it's kind of carried on to the point of where we are now in season 4. But it looks like things can swing back in the different direction in the present. But coming here in season 2, I thought their whole relationship triangle kind of angle was not too overdone, and it wasn't too much of the heavy focus where it became annoying. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of an element they added into the series, and something that they do usually add into things like series like these. You know what I'm saying? So don't mind a little romance when it's done tastefully and when it's done sparingly and not too much to the detriment of the overall plot and what's really going on. But yeah, man, I gotta say, I really dig season 2 overall. It might not be as strong as some of the other seasons, but to me, it is still a damn good season of TV. I'm going to give it overall probably like an 8.75, 8.5. I really dig season 2 overall. It's really damn good. But what says you out there? I wanted to let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys think about season 2 and all of its strengths and weaknesses, whatever you got to say about it, guys. And don't you be sleeping on the channel as well. We're gonna have season 3 review dropping real soon, and we're gonna have some season 4 content leading into volume 2 dropping July 1st. Obviously, we're gonna have a full-on spoiler review coming for that just several days after that drops. So don't miss that, guys. And make sure you get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on a single dose of that dopeness in your feed, y'all. But until next time, peace out, stay tuned, and don't sleep.